Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielson and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to The Lock Shop, and we are a three-man show coming at you from the 26th floor of the Boston Harbor Hotel here. Very excited to be, man, this is a great day, boys. I cannot wait for tonight.
It doesn't get much better than this, and I'll be honest, it doesn't get much better than your digs here. Penthouse Dusty, Jake.
Yeah, listen, Dusty, we'll give you a little peek behind the curtain, folks. So basically what happened is because of Dusty's travel situation, he didn't get in until late. So whatever happened with his room, they pushed it off to somebody else, and he arrives and they say, oh, we've already given your room to someone else. So they got to work out, well, where are we going to put him? Well, they put him up on the top floor of the Boston Harbor Encore in what a quite beautiful room. If you haven't checked out the video over on the Coolbet socials, we were pumping out some stuff last night and this morning. Pretty wild ride. And today, I mean, I don't know about you guys. I got like knots in my stomach. I'm like nervous for this game.
I woke up. It was just one of those things where your eyes open, like, oh my God, the game is tonight. What time is it? How much longer do we have to wait to drop the puck on the sucker?
Well, you know what came up to like a conversation on our show this morning? It was like, I can't remember the last time I put on a jersey and went to a rink to cheer for a team. You know what I mean? Or like,
what about the White Mud Wolverines?
Well, I got my White Mud Wolverines hoodie, but I'm not even cheering for them. I'm on the bench losing my mind as a coach of a U11 team. Like I can't remember the last time that I went to a game as a fan. Like I'm very excited for the experience. So we went down between shows. We shot some stuff. Then I went down to Dunkin' Donuts. I had not been to Dunkin's Donuts yet, or whatever it is. And as
Dunkin' now,
is it just Dunkin'
Donuts? From the,
it's just Dunkin' now.
It's just Dunkin'.
Anyway, so I go to Dunkin's or whatever, and as I'm walking back, a guy with a USA hoodie walks right by me, and I'm looking at him. He's looking at me, and we did like the nod of. I didn't even say it was like, brother. And he gave me the slow nod too, like, oh man, it's and then bumped into another Canadian that was at Dunkin' as well. He's wearing a Team Canada like hoodie. It's good. It's going to be incredible. We're going to try to get down there we figure like 3 hours before the game in the area there to shoot some stuff too. It should be a lot of fun.
Hook up with some fellow Canadian fans. You know, we had ripped down just between what we'd done, and before the show, I ripped down and grabbed a burger and was going by the sports book, and there were two Canadian guys at the kiosk, and I just went, empty the chamber, boys. We're paying for the whole trip.
Well, you got a ticket. You're locked and loaded. You're ready to go for the sports book here.
Yeah, so obviously we're down in Boston, and our option for the sports book is, right here in our hotel. So head down to the sports book, kind of between our filming of the Cribs episode for Dusty, and yeah, I threw down a little ticket, got the actual ticket in my hand.
The actual ticket right there.
It's quite nice. So we'll be seeing. You might get a peek at that ticket a little later on today, depending on how the game goes.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a few more tickets fired, and of course, for all of you who probably have already been perusing the offerings over at Coolbet for this game. I mean, it's the grand finale. We've got all the regular bets, a number of exclusives put together. And as I said, for those of you that rolled with me before the Monday game, many of us sitting on that pretty nice plus 185.
It counts as good.
That
right
was
now.
The believer play. Canada to win before the Finland game, and very nice number, and looking pretty good if the fellas can get the job done tonight.
The entire show today is going to be about this game, obviously, tonight. We'll go through a bunch of exclusives that are available, discuss the game itself. But I see in the chat here, guys, let's see, Tango says, can we get odds on one of you guys getting arrested? That wouldn't be us. Might be one of the Finns that we're with. I can see that possibly.
The Finns? That's minus 200.
And then Surveyor Brett says, talk to us about your lobster roll experiences. Yeah. Well, Hush, you gave it an 8.9.
It was incredible.
You
tried it.
I would have rather had the meatball sub. I'm not gonna lie.
Honestly,
you had a different one though.
I'm pretty happy that Dusty got it. Yeah. So basically, there was a few options. We're in Boston. Lobster rolls, like one of those. It
has its
Boston
own section
staples.
on the menu, lobster rolls. Yeah.
There was 3 different options. There was the New England style, which was the classic cold style lobster roll. Huss and Dusty got the main style, which was actually warm lobster with some like warm butter over top.
So rich.
Yeah, and then there was a third one. I forget what it was. I think it was also a cold option though. So I got the classic style. I just wanted to get that like authentic, like let's.
So yours
let's
was
see what
cold.
this is like. Yeah, it was cold.
Oh.
Yeah, but you can go check out that video too. Huss has a pretty good breakdown, and you can even see Dusty make a little appearance with his first bite experience.
Yeah.
of the
Like, this
lobster
is
roll.
like gourmet stuff you can pretty much only get here. And I believe the quote was, I would have maybe preferred if it was a hot dog filling in.
Well, that bun would have been great for a hot dog.
The bun was
like
delicious.
that, like heated up like that. That would have been a great hot
Oh,
dog.
hey,
bun.
tonight in the suite, you will see
I'll
the
have a
same,
hot dog. Yeah.
the same top split buns
Yeah. Okay. Good.
waiting for a hot dog. And
And the tendies.
yeah, you know what? Listen, I think you're going to love the chicken.
That ended up being the text of the day on the Nielsen show this morning was because I was just like, tonight at the game, I'm excited to try these tendies. And somebody texted me and says, I always knew this gold medal game would come down to the tendies. I was just like, yes, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. So yeah, no, it's been a great time. Like I wanted to be here earlier, but I don't think I would have had this suite if I would have been here earlier,
No.
right? So it kind of timed out nicely. I just started to figure out the TV. It's all run off the iPad stuff. Very fancy. And it's weird because this hotel just sort of popped up. Like there's nothing else over here, like over like 5 stories, right? It's just like this hotel just stands out significantly in this area.
Yeah, like it's like the like we're right on the harbor. I mean, we're looking on the other side right now, kind of more into the city. But I think they sort of built this, and now things are kind of coming around it. But I mean,
so they want to
put
build like a few
monstrosity
more of
like
these
this,
around the harbor or something.
I would
like-
imagine just like
Yeah.
a neighborhood or this area will probably be built up. But it's quite the beacon. This encore spot, and this might be the nicest room in the entire freaking hotel.
Well, they knew we were going to be doing lock shop in there on game day.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Had to happen.
I'm sure if they knew we were Canadian fans, you might not have got.
Might not have got this
a
room.
supply,
Yeah.
supply
If
closet.
I try to
We've been
check
doing
in
lock
this
shop
jersey
at it.
right now, it's probably not allowed. One more quick note from last night. We did go to Cheers. It was busy when we got there, but we ended up getting a little corner spot at the bar. And you had your Norm moment, huh? So I thought it was-
what
it
a
was great.
welcome. What a you know what I'll never forget walking into Cheers and getting the Norm greeting from all of you, even the Finns, a couple of those girls from Columbus or Virginia Beach or whatever into it too. Yes, it was just like I was walking back into Wind City or something.
Yeah, same type of thing.
Exactly.
Just a little bit different. All right, let's get into this game tonight. Canada and the United States. The vibes on our show this morning were high. You're going to have great vibes of WST coming up here today as well. I mean, compared to the other big games we've seen between these two nations, where does the one that we're about to go to later today, where does it rank?
Well, it ranks right up there. I mean, obviously I'm comparing it with the 2010 game, home soil, gold medal game, a true, like the rivalry had really, the U.S., it wasn't a huge upset if the U.S. won. I mean, we're talking about a game that's basically a pick 'em. And that was relatively close, although Canada was still the favorite. I think you could argue that the Olympic gold medal is certainly a more prestigious title than what they're playing for tonight. But this really is different in that it doesn't even matter what we call the tournament. It doesn't matter what they are playing for. This is the first time this generation of stars has ever had a chance to come together in true best on best format. And whatever it was going to be called or however it was going to be set up, it was going to be amazing, and it's over delivered. But what is unique about this and why I think there are so many people that will, I think if you really dive into it, will put it right up there with those Olympic final games, is everything surrounding this right now. And of course, there is so much political smoke around this hockey game because in a lot of ways it is an example of what's happening between the two countries right now. And I mean, Trump's out emasculating Trudeau on social media again today and doing his thing, stoking it all, 51st state, all this garbage. All of that adds to this rivalry between two longtime allies, longtime friends, but at the same point, when you're going up against the people that you know best, and certainly from a hockey standpoint, that's exactly what we have. Many of these guys are teammates regularly now going up about it. The stakes seem and feel higher than they have. And that is why we'll kind of get to this. Should have asked Evdog for a number on this, the TV viewing audience.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be something?
In Canada. I think it is going to be massive. Well, let's talk about this for 1 second. So it was 4-4
in the U.S.
Sorry, 4-4 in the U.S., so 5-7 in Canada Saturday night. And then Saturday night happened. There has not been this much steam for a hockey game, maybe ever in the United States, to be perfectly honest. I mean, certainly in today's media climate. I would imagine that the U.S. number will destroy the 4-4 that they got last week. And I wouldn't be surprised if like 40% of Canadian households, 50% maybe, are watching this game. Like, I don't know what the prediction is, but I think we're going to be definitely into 8 figures in Canada, like 10 million plus. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was closer to 15 or something like that.
I think we're being conservative by saying, like, I think between the two nations, it'll be over 20 million. And in Canada, is there 3 times the audience that there was on Saturday? Like, does it get, like, I'm not going to sit here and say, no, there's no way that happens. Like, I think there could be 15 million people.
I believe the gold medal 2010 game with the golden goal was 16.6.
Okay.
I think this might give that number a run for its money.
Well, and I mean, that's 15 years ago now, right? I mean, so there's
in
more
inflation,
people, just in terms of people.
Yeah.
Like, and you think back to the 2010 as well. I believe Canada did lose to the USA in round robin play, and then they got their chance at redemption in the final. So it's, it's maybe history repeating itself.
As you brought up the political side of this, what's going on right now, it's obviously led to more conversation, I think, about this game, especially down here. But Jake, do you think that there's added motivation for the players on the ice because of all the shit that's going on off the ice with these two countries right now?
Yeah, I mean, if you ask Donald Trump, he's calling them today to let them know.
Yeah, he's calling them to fire them up today.
He's trying to get them
I think
going,
way more so for the Canadians than the Americans.
I think so too. And I mean,
just because we're the ones that are being slighted and mocked by their president.
Exactly. We're not out here mocking them. I'm sure people are, but
as those guys prep today, that might be going through their head, right?
For sure. Make a sign that says 11th province. Bring that to the game tonight.
Yeah, and I mean the stuff that Hagel's been an absolute quote machine in the media too, and there was all the talk about the group chat and how they were going to start these fights, and all the stuff we saw on Saturday night. And Hagel said, we don't need a group chat to to show our national pride, and we're not afraid of anybody. Hagel didn't back down from arguably one of the toughest guys in the league in Matthew.
I could see Hagel going again tonight. Like, I don't think there'll be any fights, but if there's any fight, it's going to be Hagel. We should
get into that. So Ev did get a number up.
He's had 0 fights in his career before. Like, this is a guy that's not a fighter.
Yeah. I mean, he's a gritty player though. Oh yeah, he's not a fighter. Yeah,
they were talking about it in the chat already, but we do have a lineup for over half a fight in the game.
So just one fight tonight.
If there's a fight in tonight's game, plus 115 on the yes side of that. So
that's probably where that number should be.
Yeah,
hey, don't you think?
Yeah, I do think, like Dusty said, I don't think there will be a fight, but I mean, you never really know. Like, emotions are high. Changing momentum.
Stupid,
Biz asked Doughty if he'd go Matt Tkachuk, and Doughty said, I'll do anything for my country. So it's not off the table. I don't know if it's a guarantee like it was obviously on Saturday night, but it'll be interesting to see if you do want to get a little piece of that. I believe it's under the penalties section of the Four Nations game.
Yeah, listen, don't be surprised if the Canadians are ready to go and Matthew Tkachuk. I don't think Brady would do this, but Matthew for sure. Kind of goading someone in and then pulling the full weasel move and not fighting and trying to draw a penalty. I don't think the rest will fall for that, to be honest. I don't think they're giving out a power play based on one of those rat moves that the Tkachuk is known for. But I wouldn't be surprised. The one thing that I can guarantee is that there isn't a guy on that Canadian team that's going to be backing down from anything that the United States are throwing at them. And if that means that there'll be a scrap, we'll see. I might have to get in on that over a half tonight. The more I think about it,
another reason to cheer when there's a fight. You're getting a small piece of it too. Like,
it's funny too. Huss mentioned the old the rap move by old Matt Tkachuk there. I think in the Matt Tkachuk EST morning show song.
The turtle. We have the turtle song.
The old glue his hands, the glued gloves to his hands.
And Drew Doughty. Drew Doughty is mentioned in that song too, because Doughty hated Tkachuk as well, right? Yeah. So, you know what? The one thing, and this doesn't tie into any of the bets. Well, I guess it kind of does if you want to look at some angles of it. But what's this? The 7th game of the tournament?
Yeah,
seventh game of the tournament. I don't think I've seen any, limited compared to what you see in the National Hockey League bitching about officiating. You know, like,
There's hardly been any penalties.
I was going to say they've kind of just let them play,
Yeah.
and nobody's really been complaining about
The
it.
only justifiable bitching that should have happened was the Swedes who got jobbed big time in overtime against Canada. Like how they just basically turned a blind eye to the most obvious too-many men penalty.
That was a bad one. You're right.
But for the most part,
but I think that's how the game's going to be officiated tonight too, right? Don't you think?
Like, listen, I think to get a penalty, you're going to have to either completely stop a grade A scoring chance.
Yeah, it's game 7 of the Stanley Cup
or
final
do something so stupid that the refs basically have they are not going to want to call penalties tonight. They're going to want this to be 5-on-5 played and decided by the guys on the ice.
What are you seeing in the chat?
Zulu, I wonder what a point for every player with an M in their last name. I actually think every player's last name that starts with an M would be hilarious. McDavid, McCarr, Marner, McKinnon. Morrissey. Oh my gosh, that would be quite the prop. I think we could probably get that online.
I think that's
too.
it. You could call it.
We also
that's good.
Oh, we could call it. That's good. We also got Brad Marchand in the chat.
Marchand's an M2.
Drew Doughty. Oh yeah, Matt the Trucks in the chat. A lot of conversation.
Do you think that's the same dude with a bunch of different burners?
No.
Oh, that's my phone.
I was like, something coming. No, I don't know. I think it's just, it's classic nasties with their second YouTube accounts. And
Kachuk and Doughty are going at it.
Oh, yeah.
In the chat right
they were
now.
doing it yesterday, too.
Here. This is where, listen, this is where the battle is fought before the game. In the chat of the Lock Shop live on YouTube.
I like to imagine that it's just one dude by himself with 3 computers.
Fighting himself.
Just like trying to entertain.
That would be all the time.
Which is, that's pretty good too.
He's got more screen set up than we do. He's got his 4 different computers going, all his YouTube accounts open.
All right, let's dive into what's the total set at? It's set at 6, right?
5.5.
5.5. Okay, I thought the boy said it was 6 this morning, but so it's at 5.5 right now. Huss, are you leaning? I know we're gonna have a bunch of props and obviously, but are you leaning the over on this one? Or are you leaning the under at 5.5? I mean, it's not an easy call here.
I'm leaning under.
So am I,
because I am locked in on Canada winning, and I think Canada winning, it'll be a lower score.
So how good does Binnington have to be tonight?
Good.
Yeah.
But the team needs to be good in front of him. I mean. Listen, Binnington has probably let in at least one sort of iffy goal a game, and those are really tough to overcome. And they're a hell of a lot more tough to overcome when you got the best goalie in the world at the other end. Yeah. Now, I mean, the Team Canada to win this game needs an absolutely complete 60-minute performance. But they also need to have a great start. Like they do not want to be in a situation, frankly, like they were in the third period, where the USA is just going 1-2-2.
Yeah.
And Hellebuck's seeing pretty much everything at him that's thrown at him. It becomes a losing equation at that point. So, listen, is there pressure on Binnington? Absolutely. There's pressure on Hellebuck too. I mean, there's pressure on everybody in this game. But I think the Canadians, and this is part of the reason why I think Jarvis is in over Konechny tonight, I think there's going to be an even greater attention to detail on the defensive side of the game. And if that's the case, I think that this game could feel like overtime, guys, in the first period.
Way. I think it does. Yeah. I think it really does. Yeah,
Another thing I'm thinking about is, like, if Canada's going to win this game, 1 goal isn't going to be enough. Like, we saw what a 1-goal game looked like on Saturday night against the U.S. already. And, Connor Hellebuck's not an easy guy to beat. Huss was saying, when we were all chatting privately, like, Hellebuck, anything he can see, he's probably making a save on. So you got to get some guys to the front of the net. They have guys to do it. It's just a matter of, it might be a couple greasy goals that makes the difference in this game when it's all said and done. So, yeah.
You the under? Are you over?
I think I'd lean under, because even at 5.5, it's still pretty juicy. Like the under's minus 132 at 5.5. So like,
jeez,
like it's plus 108 to the over. I could see a 2-2 game going to overtime.
I said 3-1 in the morning show today. Empty netter. see a little later.
Yeah. And that's what we saw on Saturday night, right? The 3-1 with the empty net. So I have a hard time seeing this game being a barn burner. I think it's going to be tight all game, like you said. It's like a playoff style game. Matthew said it's like Game 7, and that's good for us because Matthews doesn't win a whole lot.
He's 0 for 3 in Game 7s in the building.
He got done so dirty on
so dirty.
Yeah,
we got to mention that. Go ahead.
So we're out at this bar having a few beers with some friends, and they got ESPN up on it. And coming up next, Austin Matthews. Like, they're really getting into this game, and Matthews comes on, and Ben Pelt's interviewing him, and he's talking about what a big game. And just while he's talking about it, they rolled the bottom. Austin Matthews, 0-3 in career Game 7s
in Boston.
TD Garden. I'm like, oh my God.
As he's sitting there, I was just like,
sewered
damn.
him. And he probably couldn't see that.
Yeah, no,
I would have been
he would have seen that. Yeah,
They would have
thrown that up
afterwards.
I was like, that's an unbelievable stat. And obviously, for a Leaf fan like myself, I didn't like to see it, but for a Canada fan, I love to see it. And if that's the way it's going to be for Austin Matthews and TD Garden, then that's just fine with me.
Hey, let me just quickly ask you a Leaf-related question. One of Mitch Marner or Austin Matthews is going to lose this game. Who takes it worse? Like, who's in a worse position if they lose? Is it Matthews because he's the captain, he's the leader, or is it Marner because he's the hometown guy, he's the Canadian guy, and already seems to be attracting plenty of heat even before we got here?
I think it's Mitch. He's under a lot of scrutiny in this tournament, not from just Leaf fans, but from non-Leaf fans as well. And people are kind of getting a glimpse into what it looks like when the game gets a little bit more physical with Mitch. And, he's second to a lot of pucks. He's doing a lot of stick checking and not a lot of...
Man, does he not have a great chance to change that?
Absolutely.
Like tonight, tonight's game.
The other thing with Mitch is it's a contract year, right? And I mean, I know this isn't the NHL, but it's an NHL sanctioned tournament, and you're seeing what's happening with, big games, who shows up and who doesn't. So, Matthews has the deal. He is already the captain of the Leafs. Like, I don't think this is would hurt him as much with a loss. I think this would, and you think about like who's more passionate about this game, Canadian or Americans? Like, it's us. It's our game. That's what we've been talking about since the beginning.
Nothing against the American fans.
But I think if it does come down and Canada doesn't find a way to get it done, and Mitch is a big part of why it doesn't happen, I'm sure it'll be.
Well, the funny thing is, if Austin's the one that takes the L, for the majority of Leaf fans and Canadian fans, they'll be happy.
They'll be happy because Canada won.
So it won't be as big of an issue.
Yeah.
They lose, they'll be pissed off about it and looking for exactly.
Yeah.
Huss, you watch Hellebuck more than all of us. I know we don't want you to give away the Jets' secrets for the upcoming playoff push and stuff, but how do you get to Hellebuck?
Well, first off, I mean, I think they had 26 shots in the game. Last time it was 26-22.
They said not going to be enough.
The shot volume needs to increase, and they have to do a better job of getting traffic in front of him and making it challenging for him to see the puck, because he is so locked in right now. He has been locked in throughout the season. He looks exactly the same right now that he has been for the Jets all year. And if you're going to be giving him the lane to see it, he's stopping it right now, with the exception of something like what McDavid did. And, that might happen great, but you can't rely on those world-class end-to-end rushes by the likes of McDavid and McKinnon. So I think that you will see more shots on net. I think we'll see John Cooper really trying to get guys to, spend some more time in those tough areas. Guys like Mark Stone, guys like Sam Bennett, I think they'll spend more time in and around the blue paint, or at least I hope they do. I think back to when Hellebuck, the last time he really, had a rough run, and that was last year's playoffs. Yeah. Now, listen, the Avs for those games were skating circles around the Jets, but so many of the goals were deflections right in front because, the Jets didn't do a good enough job of moving the guys out.
Yeah.
But they made that job that much harder for Connor. And as I say, from the Canadian perspective, they made it a little too easy for him on Saturday night, and I think the focus will be doing everything to prevent that this evening.
We do have a line.
I was going to say, let's dive into some of these lines, because a lot of these we can continue the conversation around what we could be playing tonight. So what do we got?
So funny enough, almost 300 markets right now for the game, which is pretty crazy for a game like
that a lot of OT.
That a lot of people said is an exhibition and it doesn't mean anything, but I digress. Hellebuck saves tonight over under 27.5. If you think it's going to be high volume, I mean, the over to 27.5, even money right now. If you slide all the way over to the player props section, one of your favorite markets, Dusty, the player points in the first period is also up.
Gonna get on this for sure.
So we have a few guys there. I'll run them through with you. McDavid plus 320 for a point in the first period. McKinnon plus 365. Eichel plus 380. Crosby 4-1. Makar plus 415. Matthews plus 420. Hughes plus 440. Gensel plus 440. And Mark Stone plus 440. That's to get a point in the first period of this game. So a hot start. We also
I love the value on those numbers.
An exclusive for you, Huss.
I cooked this one up. I heard
McDavid or McKinnon to score in the first period and Canada to win 6-1 right now.
Oh, yes.
Exclusives.
I will be on that. I listen, guys, I have a very similar feeling about this game than I did before the Finland game.
Yeah.
And we locked in 2 points for McDavid and a McKinnon goal. Like, listen, there's a lot of areas where the U.S. has the advantage. The one advantage and the hammer that needs to be thrown down for Canada is the fact that they've got the top two alphas in the league. And this is the game that they basically need to prove it, show it, and put this team on their back. Like, I have a hard time getting around. Like, Sid is going to be involved in this.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, would there be something any more prophetic than Sid setting up McKinnon for like the winning goal?
Little pass into the
Somebody
tour.
today suggested McKinnon empty netter from Sidney Crosby to wrap it up.
Now the other thing I just saw in the chat, what about Marshy in his building?
I'm here for this. I'm here for this.
This is something
He's been quiet.
I was trying to push it too in that Finland game, and it ended up being the big boys, just like you said. But if there's ever a guy in his element, and in a building that usually he's getting cheered, and he might be even getting booed in this building, and him doing something big in this game, even if it's just a big setup for a huge goal, I think Marshy is the type of guy who lives for moments like this.
Yeah, I was thinking if anybody else is going to scrap tonight. I mean, not really his thing, but to do it in Boston, in the barn, this magnitude of game. I mean, that goes down as an all-time legendary move from Brad Marchand.
Yeah, I don't know whether there'll be an actual fight, but he has to be involved in it.
Yeah.
He has to be, I think, a little bit more in the scrums, doing what he does to NHL opponents to
same type of thing.
to the United States.
Go lick
they've got
one of
their
the
rats.
I
Let's
was trying
get
the same thing.
Like just
Marchand
crank it up a notch.
That's a Bruin move, licking guys. It's not Team Canada.
We had Bruce Boudreau on this morning, and he goes, "You know what my dream would be? It would be Sidney Crosby fighting Trocheck off the opening faceoff." I was like, "Wow, how's that for a call from Bruce Boudreau?" He wants Sid fighting Vinny Trocheck right off the draw.
Well, it's funny you say that because, obviously being back in Winnipeg on Saturday and with a bunch of people were watching the game and the fights, happened 1, 2, 3, and we're like, what's next? And we were saying, oh my God, Binnington, Hellebuck.
Oh my God,
going at it.
A goalie fight.
I'd take that trade off.
And then we thought maybe the rematch from earlier this year, because Sidney Crosby and Kyle Connor fought this season in the NHL. Right. Now I don't think Connor's going to be playing tonight. It looks like Kreider is coming in for Connor. We don't have that confirmed right now. I wouldn't be betting anything on the likelihood of that happening.
Kyle Connor going to be out tonight?
Someone did message that in the chat earlier that Kyle Connor was going to be sitting.
Healthy?
That is
pretty shocked.
Yeah, wow. Which is wild because I didn't think he had a great start to the tournament, but I certainly did like I thought he was better throughout the Sweden game, and I thought he, especially in that third period, as they were sort of chasing the game, had a lot of time. But
it's tough taking pure offense out of a game like this when he's got that game-breaking ability that could be the one goal that ends up being the difference.
It's funny, though, when Kreider came in, Huss and I were talking about this. Kreider hadn't played all tournament, and he got into the Sweden game because it really meant nothing for the U.S., and he was immediately jumped up to the top line. So it's not like Chris Kreider came in.
Didn't
and
he score 5 minutes into the game?
Right off the jump of the game. And you're like, oh my God, like this guy. And like the Rangers, a totally separate story with them. It's been a bit of a whirlwind for them this season. But yeah, Kreider's not no slouch, but yeah, I'm pretty surprised here Kyle Connor might not
He's such
go
a
tonight.
different player. And the thing is with Connor, I mean, they do have, a bunch of guys that can, work the power play. I mean, a lot of the things that he does for the Winnipeg Jets, there are other guys for Team USA. You've got options. I'll say this about Kreider. I mean, they don't have a lot. I mean, he is huge.
Mm-hmm.
He is if this gets into a real tight game and where the goalies are really on, he's a huge advantage in front of the net. I mean, honestly, Canada would love to have a Chris Kreider when you're going up against a Connor Hellebuck because, as I said, you want to make things as difficult as possible for the goaltenders, and he is certainly a guy that can do that.
Yeah, I want to make it uncomfortable. I think, that's a great point, Huss, because Connor, no offense to him, but he's that skill level guy. He can score from, the outside, but guys who can score on the inside are going to be important in a game like this, and Chris Kreider is top of the league and guys that can score on the inside. He lives around the net, especially on the power play.
We put together a ride with Dusty right before we got going. So let's bring that number up. I think you said it was plus 550, and it was Connor McDavid over 1.5 points. Even if you want that, we were talking about that this morning. Connor McDavid over 1.5 points is plus 230, or at least it was this morning, which is a pretty. I mean, plus 230 for Connor McDavid
Back-to-back
in one of the biggest games of his life. I absolutely love that number.
Funny, by the way,
245 actually.
Is it what? Okay, so that's Jay. I think it was a little bit lower.
And again, I bet that for the Finland game, and it was plus 163.
Yeah. So
now again, the opponent,
different,
the goaltender,
totally different. But still, I mean, you'll never get a Connor. That'll be the highest we've ever seen Connor McDavid over 1.5 points.
Yeah,
plus 245.
Well, I know that's you see that number and you're like, how are you not taking?
Yeah. So we got McDavid over 1.5 points. Cale Makar with a point, and Canada in regulation.
How about Makar?
And it came up plus 550.
So he doesn't have a point in this tournament. Cale Makar, he didn't play obviously on Saturday against the
Hasn't
U.S.
been feeling well, but
minus 118 for Cale Makar to get a point.
Really?
When are you ever going to get that number?
Just 1 point. Yeah, you wouldn't see that very. Yeah, that's a good number too.
What's over 1.5 for Makar?
Oh, it's got to be closer to 4, over 3 for sure.
Plus 470.
Oh, geez.
Makar 2 plus points. How about someone in the chat said, what are the odds on Binnington to get a shutout? Well, really, if you want to look, if you go to
team total,
USA goals under half, 8-1 right now for Binnington to get a shutout in this game.
The ultimate spite shutout from Binnington to both the Americans and all the Canadians
who doubted
him along the
under
way.
1.5 for the Team USA plus 230 if you do want to get
that's another way to look at it.
In a building that he's won a Game 7 in to win the Stanley Cup. Got to remember that as well.
So McDavid 2 points, Makar point, Canada in regulations plus 550.
Plus 555.
And that's available on the exclusives?
Exclusives under lock shop. Ride with Dusty. It is there.
Okay, so this ties into outside of Binnington and Hellebuck. Huss, who do you think, which player is facing the most pressure in tonight's hockey game?
Oh, geez. Listen, I think it's got to be McDavid. Yeah. I mean, I think it's, I don't, and even it's funny, they were, McKinnon was being interviewed and they asked him, who the best player in the world is. And he said, McDavid. And they kind of asked him, oh, really? Like, kind of surprised. Like, yeah, do I really need to expand on that? No, listen, he's got a lot of pride. And listen, there'll be some people that actually, will say, well, wait a second, McKinnon should be in it. But he very clearly is saying that Connor is the guy. He's going to try to be the guy as well. But, I mean, he seems to be the de facto number one player in the world. And if you look at what he's done so far in this tournament, I mean, the goal he scored to put Canada up 1-0 after all of that, that's what your alpha does.
That's what that guy does.
And he did it again in the Finland game when the team absolutely needed it. So I will say McDavid, but I think from a Canadian perspective, I think Mac wants to wear some of that as well. And I think he'll be great. And that's kind of why I put that together. And I mean, listen, I think that, usually McDavid, you're looking at more points, but I think one of those two guys sets the tone early. So a McKinnon or a McDavid
I love
goal
that as the option there. That's
in the first period, and Canada win.
And I think you can get those guys separately for the first period goals as well.
Yeah, first period goals
and
and separate. We looked at that
player
too.
period goals. Yeah, Dusty's already chatted about it. McKinnon 8-1. Connor is 8 plus 8.
I didn't hate on there. What's the Braden points number?
Plus 1050.
Plus 1050. I don't know. I don't mind.
And he'll be up with Connor.
Yeah,
Speaking of which, right? I mean, if as long as we're getting to some of our other favorite plays, Braden point anytime goal tonight. That is a guy that I think, with where he is in the lineup, the guys that he's playing with, and just how good they look since they've been put together.
Brady point must be plus money.
Yeah.
The car's minus
let's take a
118.
look.
Point's got to be plus money.
Point is minus 103.
Okay,
so
close.
right
Yeah,
there,
so
right around that.
Okay,
even,
so yeah, I mean,
money
that's
number.
just a point for him at minus 103.
And what's his goal prop?
It's a great question. Sorry, guys. We're just kind of working through here. Plus 280 for Braden Point.
All right,
to
so
score
anytime
tonight.
goal, that's something that you were looking at there as well. We ran a poll this morning on our YouTube chat on the Nielsen Show. Which team is facing more pressure tonight? Eric made a great case for the United States. Trev made a great case for Canada. The poll ended up being 54% Canada, 46% for the United States. The United States were, I believe, a slight betting favorite coming into the tournament. They beat Canada already. They're at home for this game. I mean, these are all valid reasons for the pressure to be on them. But I had a hard time just being like, it's Canada in a championship game. I mean, how is the
Playing
pressure not
hockey.
on Canada
Right?
playing hockey
Yeah.
for a title? And if you want to tie in after a couple disappointing World Junior
Well,
events,
I was just thinking
like
that
there's
too.
so I don't know, Huss, where do you like the poll was almost split. So where do you come
no
out on
one
that?
cares about the World Juniors. It has nothing to do with, I should say some people do, but I mean, this is this generation's first chance to do it. And I mean, the way things have gone this week, what happened in Montreal, the fact that the United States won, the attention that this team has received over the course of the last week, Trump getting into the mix today.
Yeah.
Listen, we're in Boston at TD Garden. This country and this rink is going to expect to see them win tonight. I think there's more pressure on the Americans to finish the job tonight, even though within the Canadian dressing room, like none of that is going to matter. And that's not going to affect Sid or McDavid or McKinnon.
Mm-hmm.
Like those guys are going to be ready to go. They will bear that burden no matter what. I think there's a unique cranked up level of pressure though on Team USA that frankly, I don't think they've ever had as a country in a situation like this for the majority of the guys in that room before.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm going to play devil's advocate, the thing with Canada is, and I know probably a little bit biased, it's just like you've already lost in this tournament to the Americans. Like you struggled to beat Connor Hellebuck. Like there's a lot of pressure weighing
Losing
on these
to a
guys.
U.S. team twice in one tournament is just, I mean,
I don't like losing to the U.S. ever.
Yeah.
I can't imagine these guys are going to feel too good in a situation where they could lose.
No one's going to
twice.
care about Saturday if they win tonight.
Exactly. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that, Americans want to hang on to that Saturday win all they want. If they don't win tonight, it does not matter what happened on Saturday. This is the final of the tournament. This is for the cup. And, the Four Nations Cup, I should say.
yeah, it still doesn't have a name, right? It's just
That thing is a monster, though.
Yeah.
Right? We've
Beautiful
talked about it all
trophy.
show. Like, it is an incredible trophy. And I'm sure we'll
it's
get
grown
a
on me a
video
little
of,
bit. I just thought the first pictures I saw of it, it looked so smudged. I think they needed to polish it up or
Smudged?
something.
Oh,
No,
it looked a little
it looked like there's been fingerprints all over it.
yeah,
You know,
people,
it-
their hands all over.
I thought you were looking at it and you're using a baked potato for a phone or something.
Well, I do have. I'm rolling like, what's the newest iPhone?
16.
16.
Yeah, I'm on an 11.
I got a 12. So I'm
You have a
not far
12?
behind
Okay.
you.
Yeah, the
This
11
thing
needs
does
to
not
be
hold a
upgraded.
charge. I don't know what your battery
Yeah.
life's like, but I'm charging my phone.
I use
4
it. I
times
get
a
it
day.
through like Bell still because of the TSN job, but I don't know who's supposed to approve me for a new phone. So I don't know how to get an updated phone, but I need an updated
Cut
phone.
the cord, buddy. Cut the cord.
Boys, we
That's
tried
a
to
free
do this.
phone. I take a free
We
phone.
tried to do
Give
this
that
the
one
other
your
day after the Super Bowl. We had a nice big show with the 4-man weave on. We have
Yeah.
3 of us in person right now.
Oh, geez.
180 people watching. We need to get this to 100 likes. It's another.
Oh, yeah, for sure. What are we
need to
at?
hit the
Come
thumbs
on,
up.
you
I think
guys.
we're
What are we at?
halfway
We haven't
home
even
right
asked
now.
for it.
I think we're halfway.
Are we
home.
halfway there? Okay, yeah.
Like for Canada to win.
Yeah, if you
Thumbs
think
up.
Canada
Yeah.
should win this hockey game tonight, hammer the thumbs up. We got to be 100.
50 people right
100
now.
like
Let's
show.
double that. Let's
Yeah.
double that. We got 180 watching.
Yeah.
Slam the like
Easy
button.
peasy. Hammer the thumbs up for us right now. We have traveled down here
Yeah, we're all
to be
together.
here for this game, to do this show live right now at this very moment. It'll never be forgotten. And you can be a part of a 100 thumbs up show for the Lock Shop today as we
I
try
said-
to make the Lock Shop show of the year for the Estes.
It's funny. I said to our guy Coolbet Ange this morning, I said, how many times are you going to get to be in Boston and to help try to help Canada try to win a Four Nations Cup. It's only going to happen once, folks. There's only one Four Nations Cup.
Once in a lifetime, baby.
And we're here doing it. So, yeah, give us a like. And, we'll keep running through this game here. About 20 minutes to go left in the show, boys. There are so many things to choose from over at Coolbet now.
It's like Big Uke in the chat was like, looking at this board right now is more overwhelming than Super Bowl. Now, Super Bowl had almost 700 markets, but
yeah.
I'm geo-blocked here, but why don't you hit us with some of these exclusives?
Yeah.
And we can,
let's whip through those.
Go through in real time.
Is that all the exclusives?
Yeah, these are the exclusives
here. Holy smokes.
Yeah, so you hit the exclusives tab under Canada Specials, Coolbet Exclusives. Starting off with Captain Canada, we've been running this one all tournament. Sidney Crosby to get a point, Canada to win, simple enough, plus 180. Goal Harbor, one of our favorites. It's Crosby or McKinnon to score a goal and Canada to win. That's 2-1. The Mick and Mac, people love this one in the chat I was seeing earlier. Connor McDavid and Nathan McKinnon both to record a point, Canada to win, plus 250. One power play.
Say that one again.
McDavid and McKinnon both to get a point and Canada to win, plus 250.
Oh boy.
That's not a bad number at all.
Man. Yeah, jeez.
Now, obviously,
Pressing the button on
we're not biased here, so we do have a
We're totally not biased. I mean,
we have a Bash Brothers exclusives. Matthew and Brady Tkachuk each to record a point. That's
Boo.
3-1.
Do we have Bash Brothers to either one to turtle tonight?
We don't have that one
that,
up
please.
just yet. That might be the part of the fighting the fighting bet we have up. 97 for PM. Connor McDavid to score. Canada to win, plus 375. Maritimes Magic, McKinnon, Crosby, and Marchand all to record a point at plus 475. The Hot Start exclusive we talked about already. McKinnon and or McDavid to score a goal in the first period and Canada to win is 6-1. Dish and Dimes, McDavid, McCarr, and McKinnon all to record an assist, 7-1. And this is always a good one for big games. The Instant Classic. Game to go to overtime and over 5.5 goals, 8-1. A 3-3 game in overtime.
So a 3-3 game to overtime, 8-1.
Oh
man, I
could you like?
I'm trying
guys,
to see if like.
What if this game goes to overtime?
well. So there's another.
By the way,
let's get that.
I'd find a defibrillator because you're going to have a heart attack.
It's 5-on-5.
Yeah, it's regular
for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not like what it's been in the tournament.
And then it's another 20. And we're not getting to
this is like game 7 of the Cup final.
No shootouts.
Those are that's what rules. We're under Stanley Cup playoff rules tonight.
Home tie away draw. If you think the game's going to overtime, plus 323. Right now.
It's churning my stomach just with nerves thinking about that. But it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, these teams are very, very close. And I think they're
going to play it super tight in the third if it's a tight hockey game too. You know what I mean? Like if if it's tied at any point in the third, the game's going overtime.
I literally am having my stomach is rotting right now thinking about
what about this scenario? It goes 10 overtimes, but I have to leave to fly home for my daughter's birthday. And the game's still going, and I got to get to the airport.
It's a marathon.
What do I do?
What do I do?
Game. That would be nuts. All right, what are we 3 likes away from hitting 100 here on the Lock Shop today? So we're 2 likes away. So hammer that. We are going to hit 100. Obviously, big game tonight. Huss, where does you go to a lot of events? How many? What'd you say there? You've been to 7 Super Bowls?
6 or 7.
6 or 7 Super Bowls. Where does this one getting down there to the rink tonight? Where's this going to be?
This might be at the top because I never went to a Super Bowl where the Chiefs were playing.
Yeah,
it was more about the big game. I mean, obviously in our industry, being able to do Radio Row the whole week is the best week of the year. You're getting interviews and you're talking to people and you're rubbing shoulders with people that you never normally would. But this is totally different. This is our country, our game, the most hyped up game in over a decade. And some will say, based on everything else, it adds a little bit more to it. And we're doing it in enemy territory on the road after everything this tournament has brought us. I said without a doubt, this will be a night and experience we will never forget. But I think this game, it has the potential of being a classic that does, the world of hockey might look back at this tournament and this game tonight as a foundational moment for the sport going ahead. I think you could say that Saturday's game
fired up. Hey,
you wonder. I know I did just get goosebumps as well. You wonder what it can do for the sport of hockey and for the NHL because we finally have all these guys playing against one another in one of the biggest games, like you said, Huss, and at least in the last decade, we haven't had anything really going on since the World Cup of Hockey in 2016. Like,
no, and the World Cup of Hockey was completely diminished because of the I mean, really, it was the 2014 Olympics, and 2010 with it being here on home soil in Vancouver, it was the last time that we would have had anything close to what we are going to get tonight.
What do you think the split's going to be like there tonight?
That's a great question.
So I was talking to a guy at the bar last night. He thinks a third could be Canadian. I thought that was a little high.
I think.
You think so? I thought it was a little high. I thought maybe a quarter, 25, 25%.
I'll be pumped if there's 20%.
Yeah. Really? Oh man, I think.
I'm thinking kind of 15 to 20.
Really? Oh man, we are going to be in the
hostile environment tonight. Like, so us and I were there for the Monday games, and that the US-Sweden game meant nothing. And let us tell you, like, the atmosphere in there they were really getting ready. It felt like for
the US fans,
because at that point we knew it was going to be Canada-US.
Yeah.
And Todd Angeli comes out. The Boston national anthem singer. He came out and put on an absolute show. They were real loud during the anthem, and you could kind of just feel like what's going to be coming tonight is going to be even crazier. So it'll be a hostile environment, and
we gotta get in there. I cannot
wait for this.
The buzz. Make sure to check out the socials at Coolbet Canada because I think we'll get there and we'll start throwing out some vids just of the crowd building and the noise in that building, the chants and all that. I'm interested with the anthems. Whether the Canadian anthem gets much heat. Attention, there was like 2 guys or something in the Finland. Canada game that were jeering.
You know what? I've been saying the other side of it. Boo if you want to boo. So if they want to boo,
boo. No, that's
whatever.
Fine. Whatever. Like, it is what it is. Listen, if someone's booing my national anthem, I'm probably booing their national anthem right back. I'm petty like that, and I'm not going to have you boo my anthem, and I'm not going to boo yours back. So I totally get that. We did reach 106
Did we hit 100 likes?
Now,
there we go.
That's
good.
Huge. That's
you know what? So. Let's just talk to Pat, and maybe we do all of the lock shop from the 26th.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that at all. I wouldn't.
If we're getting 100 likes every time, I mean, it might
Pat,
be.
Is Pat in the chat, by the way?
No, Pat can't be in the chat today. Like
I think he might be on a bird right now. He'll be watching this later.
Okay. Good for him then.
Matt Hyman, controversial marbles champ. What is up, Matt? Hustler. How great was Soul Bear last time? Yeah. Speaking of anthems.
Yeah.
We talked about this. So. If you saw the anthems in Montreal, they had that guy out there that was in the military bit. That's Soul Bear, who sings at Jet games.
Oh, really?
Now, they announced him as his actual name. He sort of goes by like when he.
I was going to say his name's welcome. Not Soul. His
Soul Bear. No, that's sort of his
entertainment
name. And I guess they got him to do it on the guys. Like, we want this to be really respectful and everything. So. Throw your military gear on. They introduced them that way, but I'm like, man, that looks like Soul Bear. You could see he's got
such a Winnipeg name.
Like, he's got this tattoo of like some polar bear thing on the wrist, and I'm like, that's him.
Oh, he's got the Coolbet tattoo.
And he make cool better. He absolutely nailed it. And thank God he did, because the other 2 Canadian anthems have been as bad as like that girl from the beaches. I don't know what the hell was going on in the Sweden game. And that woman that sang, like, you want to talk about an insult to our country? That was it on Monday before the Finland
it's
game.
So funny too. I was getting texts from buddies being like, is she screwing up the words, or is that just the way she sounds? Yeah. Like, it was a real weird anthem. So we'll see who they bring out tonight.
If we wanted,
I'd love to get someone.
If we wanted to go full Super Bowl, we should have had length of anthem for the game tonight.
Yeah.
Like that would have been something. Yeah, but we don't know who's singing it yet, do we?
No, I'm interested. Like, I wonder if they'll give us someone who actually can sing our anthem well, or if they'll do what they did on Monday night.
Oh, they might just have that same lady come out and do it, and then turn it over to Todd.
No, Todd will be out there just giving the old friggin'. He's like the old Boston guy.
I will say,
remember the old Boston guy?
I will say, and just as someone who's worked in production before of games, absolutely no comparison to the production in Montreal and
Rennie
the production
Rancourt
here in Boston.
I knew his name. Rennie Rancourt. Yeah.
They, Bell Center and the Montreal Canadiens set the bar.
Absolutely.
And to be honest, and maybe things will be different tonight for the final, but those 2 games that we had on Monday, felt like just random NHL regular season game outside of what was happening on the ice. So anyways, we'll see whether they're going to do anything special for the final tonight. I mean, I was a little underwhelmed, to be honest, just because of, the spectacle of what Montreal put on.
When they brought out Mario
and
my God. The start of this tournament was incredible. Curious to see what the pregame will look like tonight because it's the final, right? So we might have something a little bit more, maybe not as much as that first game, but like similar to the opening ceremonies, we have some sort of final ceremonies to kind of set this thing up. A lot of great stuff in the chat. Show of the year from Maverick.
Oh, wow. Maybe it does get an S at some point.
Spency said, nice job, folks. This bodes well for the game. Let's go Canada. Rip City Step, good vibes. The Canadian flag. Coolbet Ange in the chat. He said the backup Pat is in town. His brother's twin brother is in town. So we'll get some content with him as well.
The backup Pat is in town. Yes, I cannot wait.
Yeah, man, can you imagine Patty sitting at home though watching this if he wasn't flying to go do a game somewhere?
It's a touchy subject.
All-time backfire.
A touchy subject.
All-time backfire. I don't think I would have talked to you guys if I couldn't have got down here. I think I would have just gone in dark. I would have gone dark for the rest of the week.
Well, it's a good thing I had a little bit of persistence.
You saved the day.
To prevent you from
saved my trip, and my parents saved your life.
We got Shania Twain in the chat.
Yeah, Shania, what's up?
I heard a rumor about the anthem, and then Phyllis said, Shania Twain in the chat. And then Phyllis also said, love to hear you sing it, Shania.
They should roll out Shania.
Shania would be incredible.
Hey, if we had our choice, who would we pick for Canada to sing the anthem tonight?
Celine.
Kroger.
Yes.
Me and Dusty.
Yeah, me and you doing Nickelback
karaoke boys.
We did Rockstar at the pub on Tuesday night, and we nailed it.
We killed it.
The place was going crazy for Nickelback. Like we were rock stars.
You should have seen the Finns do ABBA though. That was what really brought the people out of their seats.
They brought the house down too. All right, so we are going to be down probably 2-3 hours before the game, down outside the rink doing some stuff. So make sure you watch the Coolbet socials for that. You're hopping on WST right away. House, what's coming up on Winnipeg Sports Talk today?
We got a big show. Jet defenseman Dylan DeMello is going to join us. Looking forward to that. Matt Larkin will have to come on with a full mea culpa for his terrible take that Josh Morrissey shouldn't have been on the Four Nations team. I'm going to give it to him on that.
That is a bad take.
It was a terrible take.
Yeah.
But he's a great guy and has owned it and will own it again. And then we'll talk about the game and Radatesh from the Athletic. So all of that, we'll hear from Morrissey, some of the other key figures in tonight's game. It's going to be all about this one tonight here in Boston. And then as soon as I'm done, hook up with the fellas, head down. We'll have a bunch of pregame content on the Coolbet channels. And then live tonight from our
and if by chance you're down at the rink or you know somebody who's here for the game, come down, say what up to us. We got some bet cards too. If you're outside of Ontario, we can hand those out. We're gonna get some reaction from some fans, and then we'll be in the box, I'm sure, pretty early, probably an hour before, 45 minutes before. We'll get some rink content. We'll get
you guys have to remind me to get a couple things for my kids too.
Yeah.
I'm pretty fired up, but I got to get
that's going to be top of mind for me all night.
If I knew anybody was going to come through, it's you. I'll show you what it's like buying stuff for kids. They'll love it. It's going to be a great game tonight. We're very much looking forward to it.
Let's go, boys. Let's go.
I'm saying 3-1 Canada. Sidney Crosby, an empty netter. And then after that, he passes things off to McDavid and McKinnon for the Olympics.
I'm worried it's going to be another golden goal for Canada, 3-2. And I just I'm worried because I don't think I can take it.
Oh, yeah. Can you believe it?
Marshy. Yeah. Let's get her done, bud.
That would be – I've hated Marchand for a lot of his career.
Oh,
but that would be pretty spectacular.
That would be as wrestling, they call that a face turn.
Is that what it is?
He was a heel his entire time. And then he's the face turn. Wow. Yeah, baby face Brad tonight.
All right.
But it would be a heel turn for Boston in their building.
Oh, yeah.
So, all right, Winnipeg Sports Talk's coming up with Huss. I'm going to be popping on the Reed Wilkins show around 5:05 Edmonton time tonight from the rink. So we'll let you know everything that's going on there as well. And watch Coolbet socials. Jake's going to be turning out a bunch of stuff once we get down to the area around the rink. We'll have that for you. Coming up a little bit later on this afternoon. Might have been the best lock shop ever, boys. Not going to lie.
Show of the year.
Thanks for having
contender.
The
big contender.
Up. Go Canada tonight. We'll talk to you in a little bit. Take it easy.